Hi friends, my name is Dilip. Now going forward, I'll be making the very super fast revision lectures which I keep on posting. This will be called as Sanjeevani Booty. This can be used for one day before examination, or it can also be used for daily revision of the topics which is covered in the particular video. Now in this topic, I will be taking upon section 7 to section 14, which is from supply to time of supply. The topic from supply to time of supply will be discussed in this particular video. My humble request, please watch this video only if you have read these topics, whatever is covered. Only once you read from your material, only after that if you read this, it will be very helpful for you, and it will be a very super fast revision. It will be a very super fast revision. Okay. Now, what is the taxable unit under GST, sir? The taxable unit under GST is supply of goods and services. The taxable unit under GST. Which section talks about supply, sir? Section 7 of CGST Act. Section 7 of CGST Act is talking about supply of goods and services. Okay, sir. Section 7 has 7.1, 7.1 capital A, 7.2 and 7.3. 7.1 has 3 subsections, 7.1 A, B and C. Section 7 subsection 1 clause A talks about supply with consideration. It says, I will call something as a supply if 5 conditions are satisfied or 5 elements are there. There are totally 5 elements for under section 7 subsection 1 clause A to call something as a supply. Supply should be of goods and services. Section 7 subsection 1 clause A says, supply includes all form of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease, license, rental, disposal, made or agreed to be made by a person for a consideration, in the course of business or not, in the course or furtherance of business. Now, supply should be of what? Sir, supply should be of goods and services. Supply should be by a person. Supply should be made or agreed to be made. Supply should be for a consideration, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Sir, supply should be of goods and services. Sir, what do you mean by goods, sir? Goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and securities, but includes activity in relation to use of money, or but includes actionable claims, growing crops, things attached to or forming part of land. Sir, what do you mean by services, sir? Services means anything other than goods, money and securities. Anything which is not goods and money and securities will be treated as services. Anything other than goods, money and securities but services will include activity in relation to use of money or its conversion. Activity in relation to use of money or its conversion from one form to another, from one currency to another currency, from one denomination to another denomination, for which a separate consideration is charged. Please note, if there is a transaction only in money or only in purchase, buy and sale of security, it will not be treated as supply. It will not be treated as services or goods. Then, sir, what do you mean by consideration, sir? You said that supply should be of consideration. Sir, what do you mean by consideration? Consideration to our marks, payment in money or otherwise by the recipient or in the person, but it shall not include the subsidy which is given by central government or state government. Then monetary value of any act or forbearance by the recipient or in the person, but it shall not include the subsidy which is given by central government or state government. However, there is a proviso for the definition of consideration. Sir, what is this proviso for definition of consideration telling, sir? The proviso is telling if you receive any refundable deposits, then that refundable deposits shall not be treated as consideration. However, if these refundable deposits are adjusted as consideration, then they shall be treated as consideration. Sir. In consideration, you told recipient, sir. What do you mean by recipient? Recipient, again, to your mark, see whether there is a consideration or there is no consideration. For a supply of goods and services, see whether consideration is there or consideration is not there. If consideration is there for supply of goods and services, it is the person who is paying such consideration. Recipient will be the person who is paying such consideration. Sir, what if consideration is not there? If consideration is not there for supply of goods, it is the person to whom the goods are delivered or made available, and for supply of services, it is the person to whom the services are rendered or provided. Sir, what do you mean by supplier, sir? Supplier means the person who is supplying goods and services, and also it will include his agent. Both recipient and supplier definition will include the agent of the recipient or the agent of the supplier. Okay, so section 7 subsection 1 clause A is done. What is section 7 subsection 1 clause A telling? Supply includes all form of supply of goods or services or both, such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease, license, rental, disposal, made or agreed to be made by a person for a a consideration in the course or furtherance of business. In the course or furtherance of business. Section 7 subsection 1 clause B. Section 7 subsection 1 clause B says importation of services. If you are importing a services, please note you should import what? You should import only services. Importation of goods is not dealt here. Importation of goods is dealt under Customs Act. So importation of services for a consideration. If you are importing a services, for a consideration, whether it is imported for the purpose of business or not for the purpose of business, whether that importation of services is for the purpose of business or not, in both the cases it will be treated as supply. It will be treated as supply. Then section 7 subsection 1 clause C. Sir, section 7 subsection 1 clause C, what does it talk about, sir? Section 7 subsection 1 clause C talks about supply without consideration. It talks about what? Supply without consideration. Section 7 subsection 1 clause C says there are few activities which are specified in schedule 1. There are few activities which are specified in schedule 1. Now these activities will be treated as supply. These activities which are specified in schedule 1, they will be treated as supply even if there is no consideration. Even if there is no consideration, these activities will be treated as supply. Okay, sir. Sir, how many activities are there? There are totally 4 activities. That is PARI. P for permanent transfer or disposal of business asset provided input tax credit has been taken on such business asset. A for agent. Supply of goods by principal to his agent or vice versa, wherein the agent undertakes to further supply the goods on behalf of principal in his own name. Supply of goods by principal to agent or vice versa, or agent is supplying the goods to the principal or vice versa, wherein the agent is undertaking to further supply the goods on behalf of principal in his own name. That also will be treated as supply. Then R for related person. Supply of goods or services or both to a related person or deemed distinct person referred to in section 25(5) or 25(4) will be treated as it will also be treated as supply if it is in the course of business. If it is in the course of business. Sir, what do you mean by what do you mean by deemed distinct person as per 25(4) or 25(5)? Section 25(4) says that if a person has obtained more than one registration, whether in a state or more than one state or union territory, then each such registration will be treated as distinct person. They will all be treated as distinct person. Section 25(5) is telling if a person has an establishment which is registered in a state, and he also has another establishment in another state or union territory, then each such establishment shall be treated as distinct person. Please note, establishment number 1 should be registered. The other establishment which is there, they may or may not be registered. Then, sir, what do you mean by I? I means importation of services by a person from his relative outside India or any of his other establishment outside India. If it is imported in the course of business without consideration, then also it will be treated as supply. Sir, what do you mean by importation of services, by the way? Importation of services means the supplier of the services is outside India, the recipient of the services is India, and the place of supply is outside India. Sorry, the place of supply is in India. What is importation of services? The supplier of the services is outside India, the recipient of the services is in India, and the place of supply is in India. Then I will call it as importation of services. Then we have section 7(1) capital A. 7(1) capital A says that there are few activities which I am going to tell whether it is supply of goods or supply of services. Now, whatever is there in section 7(1) capital A or whatever is there in schedule 2 are supply. Whatever is there in schedule 2, they are supply as per section 7 subsection 1. But I am going to tell you whether it is supply of goods or supply of services. Now, what is the crux, sir? The crux is that if the ownership is transferred or title is transferred, then I will treat it as supply of goods. If only the right in the goods is transferred, if only the right in goods is transferred, then it is supply of services. Then I will call it as supply of services. Then Section 7(2). Section 7(2) talks about negative list of supply or no supply. It talks about negative list of supply or no supply, meaning these items will neither be treated as supply of goods nor be treated as supply of services. There is 2 remarks. Now, government has notified few activities, and there are few activities which are there in schedule 3. Sir, what are the activities which is notified by the government, sir? Government has notified 2 activities. Which are these activities? Which is performed by panchayat or municipality, and sale of liquor license by government, This will neither be treated as supply of goods nor supply of services. And there are totally 9 activities in schedule 3. There is something called as schedule 3. This schedule 3 gives the list of items, activities which will not be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. They will neither be treated as supply of goods nor be treated as supply of services. Sir, which are these activities, sir? These activities are: point number 1, services given by an employee to the employer in the course of employment. Services by court or tribunal except arbitral tribunal. Services by MLA, MP, President, Prime Minister, etc. Services by way of funeral, burial, cremation, mortuary, including transportation of deceased. Then sale of land, comma, and sale of buildings subject to para 5B of Schedule 2. Actionable claims except lottery betting and gambling. Sir, you said sale of land, comma, and sale of buildings subject to para 5B of Schedule 2. So what is this para 5B of Schedule 2? Para 5B of Schedule 2 is telling, para 5B of Schedule 2 is telling, if the consideration for sale of building, if the consideration for the sale of building is received after completion certificate or after first occupancy, then it is not a supply. If the consideration for the sale of building is received after issuance of completion certificate or after first occupancy, it is not a supply. Then what if it is received before? Then it will be treated as supply. Then we have actionable claims except lottery betting and gambling. Then three more additions which is there. Third country sales, meaning if the goods are purchased from outside India, that is non-taxable territory, and it is sold to another non-taxable territory without the goods coming to taxable territory, it is also not taxable under GST. It is not a supply. Then we have warehouse sales, and also we have warehouse sales and high sea sales. Next, Section 7 subsection 3 is a time pass, you can ignore. It says that there may be few activities which the government may tell it is a supply of supply of goods and not supply of services, and there may be activities which the government may tell it is supply of services and not supply of goods. Now next we have section 8. Sir, what is this section 8 talking about, sir? Section 8 is talking about the taxability. It talks about the taxability of composite and mixed supply. How is this composite supply taxed, or how is this mixed supply taxed? That is told by section 8. What do you mean by composite supply, sir? Composite supply means supply of two or more. Supply of what? Two or more taxable goods and services. If you are supplying two or more taxable goods and services which are naturally bundled in ordinary course of business, supply of two or more taxable goods and services which are naturally bundled in ordinary course of business, supplied in conjunction with another, one of which is principal supply, one of which is the main supply or principal supply, then I will call it as a composite supply. If it is a composite supply, it should be taxed at the rate of principal supply. The composite supply should be taxed at the rate of principal supply. Sir, what do you mean by mixed supply, sir? Mixed supply means supply of two or more individual goods and services. If you are supplying two or more individual goods and services which are not naturally bundled in ordinary course of business, but they are supplied in conjunction with another for a single price and which is not a composite supply, for a single price and which is not a composite supply, that will be treated as mixed supply. If it is a mixed supply, it should be taxed at highest rate. A mixed supply is required to be taxed at highest rate. Okay, sir. Then we have section 9. Section 9 talks about the charging section of CGST Act. It is the charging section of CGST Act. Section 9 subsection 1 says, notwithstanding to anything contrary contained under this act, but subject to Section 9 subsection 1 says, subject to the provisions of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax hereinafter referred as central goods and services tax on all intrastate supply of goods or services or both, except on alcoholic liquor for human consumption on a value determined under section 15 at such rates as may be notified, not exceeding 20%, shall be collected in such manner as may be prescribed and paid by the taxable person, and it shall be paid by the taxable person. Now what is it telling? Subject to the provisions of subsection 2, there shall be a tax levied which is on all intrastate supply of goods and services, which is CGST. Now what is the highest rate of CGST which they can levy? Maximum rate of CGST is 20%, and CGST will not be levied on alcoholic liquor for human consumption. The tax is required to be paid by a taxable person. A taxable person has to pay the taxes. Sir, who is this taxable person, sir? Taxable person is a person who is registered under GST or who is liable for registration under section 22 or section 24, or liable for registration under section 22 or 24. Then we have section 9 subsection 2. Section 9 subsection 2 says, the CGST on intrastate supply or central tax on intrastate supply of HP man shall be levied from the date notified by government. Sir, what is this HP man, sir? High-speed diesel, petroleum crude, motor spirit, aviation turbine fuel and natural gas. Meaning on this item, there is no CGST or central tax. There is no GST levied, but it can be levied from a future date, whatever date is notified by the government. Then, section 9 subsection 3. Section 9 subsection 3 says, there are few goods and services which are notified. If these goods and services are supplied, then the recipient will have to pay the taxes under revert charge. The recipient will have to pay the taxes under revert charge. Please note, For services, the notification number is 10/2017. Thus, for services, the notification number is 10/2017. Sir, what are these services, sir, which is notified? A GTA is opting to pay tax a GTA who is opting to pay tax at 5% provides services to the 7 notified persons. Then it is liable to reverse charge. Then legal services provided by an advocate to a business entity. Arbitral tribunal services provided by an arbitral tribunal to a business entity. Then sponsorship services provided by any person to a body, corporate or a firm. Then any kind of services provided by government to a business entity except 5+1 services. Except 5+1 is what, sir? Except renting of immobile property services, except Department of Post Services by way of Sea Life. Then except services in relation to aircraft and vessel inside or outside the presence of airport or port. Then except transportation of goods and transportation of passenger. Transportation of goods and transportation of passenger. If these items are provided, then the tax is payable and it is payable under forward charge. Now, there is one more addition which have been made. If renting of immobile property services is provided by a government means what, sir? Government means central government, state government, local authority and union territory. If renting of immobile property is provided by government to a registered person, a person who is registered under GST Act, then a person who is registered under GST Act, then the tax will have to be paid by the recipient, that is the registered person, under reverse charge. Then apart from that, we have services provided by a director of a company to the company. Which director? Non-employee director. Services provided by a non-employee director to the non-employee director of a company to the company, that is also liable to be taxed under reverse charge. Apart from that, we have business facilitator services, insurance agent services, recovery agent services, overseeing committee services, and recovery individual direct selling agent. All these people are providing services to respective authorities like insurance company, banking company, RBI. The RBI, banking company or insurance company has to pay the taxes under reverse charge. Apart from that, important service is security services. Security services provided by any person other than a body corporate. If security services means what, sir? Supply of security personally. If security services are provided by any person other than a body corporate to a registered person, then the registered person will have to pay the taxes under reverse charge. There is one more addition which is very important for this attempt. Which is renting of motor vehicle. Renting of motor vehicle services provided by any person. Renting of motor vehicle services provided by any person opting to pay tax at 5%. A renting of motor vehicle services provided by any person who is opting to pay tax at 5% other than a body corporate to a body corporate. If renting of motor vehicle services who is opting to pay tax at 5% provides services to a body corporate, then the body corporate will have to pay the taxes under reverse charge. Please note, the person who is providing the services should not be a body corporate and he should be a person who is opting to pay tax at 5%. Okay. Then we have section 9 subsection 4. Next, section 9 subsection 4 says, if notified or specified goods and services are supplied to a specified or notified registered person by an unregistered person, then the notified or specified registered person will have to pay the taxes under reverse charge. He will have to pay the taxes under reverse charge. Sir, who is the notified registered person, sir? The notified registered person is a person who is engaged in the business of construction. He is a person who is engaged in the business of construction. Sir, what are the notified goods and services? Whatever goods and services are used for construction purpose, cement or any other goods and services, bricks, etc., which is used for construction purpose, and it also includes the capital goods which is used for construction purpose. So, if a person who is in the business of construction and he is registered under the GST, he is taking these goods and services like cement, other goods and services used for construction purpose from an unregistered person, then this registered person will have to pay the taxes under reverse charge. Then, very important, then we have this section 9 subsection 5. Section 9 subsection 5 talks about supply through an e-commerce operator. There are notified services. There are few notified services. If these notified services, there are few specified or notified services. If these notified services are supplied through an e-commerce operator, then the e-commerce operator will have to pay the taxes. Sir, what if the e-commerce operator does not have physical presence in India or physical presence in taxable territory? If the e-commerce operator does not have physical presence in taxable territory, any person representing such e-commerce operator in India or taxable territory has to pay the taxes. Oh sir, what if the e-commerce operator does not have physical presence in India and there is no person representing such e-commerce operator in India, sir? Then what should it be done, sir? Then e-commerce operator should appoint a person in India to pay such taxes. He will have to appoint a person in India to pay such taxes. He will have to appoint a person in India to pay such taxes. Okay, sir. Next is section 10. Now, last attempt, they have asked lot of questions about section 10, but still section 10 is a very important section. Section 10 talks about composition levy. Section 10 talks about what, sir? Section 10 talks about composition levy. Section 10 subsection 1 talks about eligibility. Who is eligible to become a composition dealer? Now, a registered person whose aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, has not exceeded 1.5 crore rupees, he can opt to pay tax at composite rates in lieu of tax payable by him under section 9. Meaning he can opt to pay tax at composite rates. Sir, what are the composite rates, sir? If you are a manufacturer, then 1% of turnover invested. Sir, 1% means 0.5% CGST, 0.5% SGST. Then if you are a restaurant service provider, it is 5% of turnover in a state, 5% of turnover in a state, 2.5% CGST, 2.5% SGST. And if you are a all other dealers, that is traders, it is 1% of taxable turnover in a state. Please note, it is 1% of taxable turnover in a state. There is a difference between turnover in a state and taxable turnover in a state. Turnover in a state means it will include all the turnover which is made from that state, whether taxable or non-taxable, whether it is taxable or exempt supply, it will be counted. But if it is traders, then it is only taxable supplies, taxable turnover of a state. Whatever is taxable, only that should be added in computation of payment of tax liability. Sir, what is the limit? The limit you said is 1.5 crore. Sir, what is the limit for special category states, sir? There are 8 special category states for whom the limit is, there are how many? 8 special category states for whom the limit is 75 lakhs. For 8 special category states, the limit is what, sir? For 8 special category states, the limit is 75 lakhs. Sir, which are these 8 special category states? Nagaland, Uttarakhand, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Tripura. These are the 8 special category states for which the limit is what? 75 lakhs. For which the limit is 75 lakhs. Okay, sir. Sir, what do you mean by aggregate turnover, by the way? Aggregate turnover means aggregate value of all taxable supplies, exempt supplies, export of goods or services, also known as zero rated supplies, then interstate supply to a person having same PAN. This is required to be computed on all India basis or pan India basis, but it shall not include the taxes which are there under GST and inward supply which is liable to reverse charge. It shall not include the inward supply which is liable to reverse charge also. Okay, sir. Then there are 2 provisos. Provision number 1 says that this limit of 1.5 crores can be increased up to 2 crores, and provision number 2 says that if you are a person who is eligible to pay tax under section 10, then you can supply services. How much services can you supply, sir? To our marks, 10% of turnover, 10% of aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, or rupees 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. You can supply services up to 10% of aggregate turnover of preceding financial year, or rupees 5 lakhs, whichever is higher. Then there is section 10 subsection 2. Section 10 subsection 2 talks about what, sir? Section 10 subsection 2 talks about conditions for a composition dealer. What are the conditions, sir? Composition dealer should not supply services except the services mentioned under section 10 subsection 1, that is restaurant services, and that limit 10% or 5 lakh rupees, whichever is higher. Then he should not make non-taxable supply. Such as alcoholic liquor for human consumption, HP man, etc. Then he should not make an interstate outward supply. He should not supply goods to another state. Then he should not supply through an e-commerce operator who is required to collect the taxes under section 52. He is not required to supply through an e-commerce operator who is required to collect taxes under section 52. And last point says that he should not manufacture notified goods. Sir, which are these notified goods, sir? He should not manufacture. He can supply this, but he should not manufacture these notified goods. Which are these notified goods? Ice cream, pan masala, tobacco products, and newly added aerated waters. Then there is a proviso for this section. There is a proviso for section 10 subsection 2. This proviso is telling if there are more than one registered person, under same PAN, there are more than one registered person, then if one opts for composition scheme, all others also should opt for composition scheme. That means if one is not eligible for composition scheme, others also are not eligible for composition scheme. Section 10 subsection 3 is telling the scheme shall lapse in the current financial year if your aggregate turnover is crossing the specified limit of 1.5 crores or 75 lakhs. Section 10 subsection 4 is telling a composition dealer cannot issue tax invoice and he cannot take input tax credit on his purchases. Meaning when he is making supplies, he cannot collect taxes on his sales. He cannot issue tax invoice. So then what will he issue? He will issue a document called as bill of supply, and he cannot take input tax credit on his purchases. Section 10 subsection 5 is telling if you are contravening the provisions of section 10, or if you are a person who is not eligible to pay tax under section 10 but still you are paying taxes under section 10, then the officer will issue a show cause notice to you. Officer will issue a show cause notice to you. Once the show cause notice is issued to you, you will have to reply to that show cause notice. If your reply is satisfactory, okay. If it is not satisfactory, then you will have to pay tax at normal rate, and also you will have to pay penalty, and also the penalty provisions under section 73 and 74 may be made applicable to you. Okay, sir. Then there is rule 5 which talks about other conditions. Rule 5 talks about, there are other rules also, rule 4, rule 3, rule 4, rule 6, but rule 5 is important. Rule 5 talks about other conditions. Sir, what is this rule 5 talking about, sir? It says casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person cannot be a composition dealer. It says if you are making any inward supply which is liable to reverse charge under section 9.3 and 9.4, then you will have to pay the taxes at normal or regular rates. You will have to pay taxes at normal rates for that inward supply. Then a composition dealer will have to mention on the name board and the sign board that I am a composition taxable person, and on all the document that is bill of supply which is issuing, he will also mention that I am a composition taxable person not eligible to collect taxes. Apart from it, if I want to tell you something about composition dealer, a composition dealer has to file the return annually. Yearly once he will have to file the return. Which is that return, sir? This return which he has to file is GSTR 4, and quarterly once he will have to make the payment of taxes. The payment of taxes which he has to make is quarterly once in form GST CMP 08. In form, please change it to 08, okay? Form GST CMP 08. Okay. Then now they have also added a notification called as notification number 2/2019. There is a notification which is added, notification number 2/2019. This notification is giving benefit to the service providers. The service providers can also opt for composition scheme, or they can also take the benefit of paying tax at concessional rate or a lesser rate. Sir, what is this notification telling, sir? If you are a person who is not eligible to pay tax under section 10, and you are supplying only services, or you are supplying exclusively services, and your aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year is not exceeding 50 lakhs, then you can opt for this particular notification. If you opt for this notification, you will have to pay tax at a lesser rate of 6%, 3% CGST, 3% SGST. You will have to pay tax at lesser rate of 6%. Sir, what are the conditions? All the conditions which is applicable to a normal composition dealer is also applicable to him. All the conditions which are applicable to a normal composition dealer is also applicable to him. Apart from this, there is also one notification called as notification 1/2019. This notification 1/2019 is telling the interest income which you are earning. Whatever interest income you earn, this interest income is not required to be added in computing the aggregate turnover. This interest income should not be added in computing the aggregate turnover, and it should not be added in computing the value of supply of services in section 10 subsection 1 eligibility. When you are seeing the eligibility of aggregate turnover, no, when you are seeing the eligibility for composition dealer, when you see that aggregate turnover, do not add interest income. And also when you compute the 10% or 5 lakh rupees of services, do not add this interest income. Do not add this interest income. Then we have something called as section 11. Section 11 talks about exemption. Section 11 is talking about what, sir? Section 11 is talking about exemption. What is section 11 telling, sir? Section 11 subsection 1 talks about general exemption, 11.2 special exemption, 11.3 explanation to an exemption. 11.1 is telling government may in public interest issue generally exempt goods and services generally by issuing a notification. It can be absolute or conditional. Then special exemption and general exemption will be applicable to all the people who are supplying those kinds of goods and services which are exempted. Then special exemption. Special exemption, again government will issue a special exemption in public interest. This also can be absolute or conditional, but special exemption are issued by way of a special order, and it is person specific. It is applicable only to the person to whom that exemption is given, only to the person who is asking for that exemption. Then section 10 subsection 11 subsection 3 is telling if any explanation or clarification is given to an exemption, if there is an exemption notification which has already been issued, and if any clarification or explanation is given to that exemption notification within 1 year from the date of exemption notification, then this clarification is as good as it was issued at the time when exemption notification was issued. Meaning this clarification will have a retrospective effect. If this clarification is given within 1 year from the date of exemption notification, it will have a retrospective effect. Then we have something about time of supply. Section 12 talks about time of supply of goods. Section 12 talks about what? Time of supply of goods. Section 12 subsection 1 says the liability to pay tax in case of supply of goods. The liability to pay tax in case of supply of goods shall be as per the time of supply determined under section 12. Section 12 subsection 2 talks about forward charge. In forward charge, two are remarks: invoice issued within the due date, invoice not issued within the due date. If invoice is issued within the time limit, then the time of supply is date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, what if invoice is not issued within the due date? If invoice is not issued within the due date, then last date to issue invoice as per section 31 or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, what is this date of payment? Sir, date of payment is date on which you are entering, you are making an entry in your books of accounts that payment is received, or date on which the amount is getting credited to the bank account, whichever is earlier. Sir, what is the last day to issue invoice, sir? The last day to issue invoice in case of goods is if the goods which you are dealing, if movement is there, then on or before removal. If movement is not there, on or before delivery. If it is continuous supply of goods, successive payment date or successive statement date, whichever is earlier. And in case of sale on approval basis, the date of approval or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier. Now there is a notification, very important. There is a notification for this goods, notification number 66/2017. This notification says advance received for supply of goods should not be taxed, meaning if the date of payment is before date of invoice, or if the date of payment is before last date to issue invoice, then the date of payment should not be considered as time of supply. The date of payment should not be considered as time of supply. So if I want to conclude for forward charge of goods, the time of supply will be the date of invoice or date of last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. Last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. Apart from this, okay, there is also a proviso for this, which is telling if the supplier receives any amount up to ₹1,000 in excess of the invoice value, then for that excess amount which is received, the time of supply can be the date on which invoice is issued for that excess amount at the option of supplier. Then section 12 subsection 3. Section 12 subsection 3 talks about time of supply of goods in case of reverse charge. The time of supply of goods in case of reverse charge is date of receipt of goods, date of making the payment, or 31 days from the date of supplier invoice, whichever is earlier. Then section 12 subsection 4, the time of supply in case of vouchers. In case of voucher, two are marked. Is supply identifiable at the time of issue of voucher? Yes, sir. Supply is identifiable at the time of issue of voucher. Then the time of supply will be date of issue of voucher. If supply is not identifiable at the time of issue of voucher, the time of supply shall be the date of redemption of voucher. Then we have residual provision, meaning if the time of supply cannot be determined as of goods cannot be determined as per section 12.2, 12.3, 12.4, please come to this section. What is this section telling? Are you a person who is filing returns? Are you a registered person? Yes. Then the time of supply will be due date of filing return. Sir, what if I am not registered or not? I am not falling in the above category. Then in all other cases it will be date on which you are making the payment of tax or date of payment of taxes. Then section 12 subsection 6, it talks about if you receive any interest, penalty, late fee for delayed payment of consideration. If you receive any interest, penalty, late fee for delayed payment of consideration, then for that interest, penalty, late fee which is received for delayed payment of consideration, the time of supply will be the date of receipt of such amount. It will be date of receipt of such amount. Then section 13 talks about time of supply of services. 31 says that the liability to pay tax in case of supply of services shall be as per the time of supply determined under section 13. Section 13 subsection 2 says in case of forward charge, two are marks: invoice issued within the due date, invoice not issued within the due date. If invoice is issued within the due date, date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier. If invoice is not issued within the due date, date of completion or date of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, what is date of payment? Same. Book entry date or bank credit date, whichever is earlier. Sir, what is that last date to issue invoice in case of services? In normal cases, the invoice is required to be issued on or before completion or within 30 days from the date of completion. On or before completion or within 30 days from the date of completion. This is the time limit in normal cases. But in case of banks, etc., this 30 days should be substituted by 45 days. Sir, what is the time of what is the time limit for issuing invoice in case of continuous supply of services, sir? In case of continuous supply of services, invoice is required to be issued from the contract C whether the date of payment is known, due date of payment is known. Yes, sir, due date of payment is known. Invoice is required to be issued on or before that date. From the contract C whether the amount of payment is known, due date is not known, amount is known. When the payment, how much is required to be paid is known, then invoice is required to be issued on or before receipt of such amount. And from the, if the payment is linked to completion, then invoice is required to be issued on or before completion, on or before completion. Okay, sir. Section 13 subsection 3, in case of reverse charge, the time of supply will be date of making the payment or 61 days from the supplier invoice, or what, 61 days from the supplier invoice, whichever is earlier. Then we have section 13 subsection 4, in case of voucher, the time of supply will be, in case of voucher, the time of supply will be, see whether the supply is identifiable at the time of issue of voucher. Yes sir, the date of issue of voucher. If supply is not identifiable at the time of issue of voucher, date of redemption of voucher. Section 13 subsection 5, the residual provision. What is the residual provision talking about, sir? If you are not able to find time of supply as per 32, 33, 34, then come to me. That are you a person who is registered, or are you a person who is liable to file return? Yes sir, then the due date of filing return. In all other cases, it is the date of making the payment. Then 13.6, in case you receive any interest, penalty, late fee for delayed payment of consideration, then the time of supply for that interest, penalty, late fee will be the date of receipt of such amount. Sir, what is this additional amount which is received for delayed payment of consideration? Say for example, I have supplied you goods or I have supplied you services. I have told you will have to make the payment within 1 month. If you don't make the payment within 1 month, I will take an interest or penalty of 10,000 rupees from you. Okay, assuming this person does not make the payment within 1 month, so I will receive this 10,000. Yes sir, I will receive this 10,000. So for this 10,000 rupees, the time of supply will be the date when you are receiving this 10,000. Then section 14 talks about time of supply when there is a change in rate of tax. Section 14 talks about what? It talks about the time of supply when there is a change in rate of tax. Sir, what is the time of supply? In case of time of supply, in case of change in rate of tax, two things can happen. Supply can be made before change, or supply can be made after change. Now, what is the crux? I'll tell you. The crux of this section 14, I'll tell you. Date of supply is there, no? Date of supply or date of completion can never become time of supply. Sir, then who can become? Either date of invoice or date of payment will become the time of supply. Now, whoever is with date of completion or date of supply will become the time of supply. Sir, what if they both are not with date of completion or date of supply, sir? If they are not together, then date of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. If all the three are together, then date of invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. Then there is a proviso for this point. There is a proviso for date of payment. This proviso says, if the payment is credited to the bank account after 4 working days from the date of change in rate of tax, then the date of payment shall be the date on which the amount is getting credited to the bank account. Okay friends, this is all about the revision lecture. It is from section 7 to 14. If you have any doubts, you can please contact me on, contact in the sense you can please WhatsApp to me